It's a party.
There's several diapers kind of going around. No tasting, no touching, no smelling. Okay, you can smell it.
Okay. San Jose. The mission of San Jose. The mission walls and the little retreats just on each of those doors where the mission monks would have in the old days gone for a little stroll of reflection and then gone back, rested in there and studied the way of life and reflected on their life itself. It is one of the largest missions here in Santa Antonio region, the San Jose Church, the mission of the Spanish, one of the large Franciscan missions here in Santa Antonio, Texas. As you can see, the church itself is quite large. The structure has been neglected over the years, where the missions have left. It's best not to restore it, but at least to preserve it is what is meant to be. The rosewood. Oh, no one knows why this intricate carving is now called the rosewood. It's just what you see in there. What amazing features of this beautiful church. There's the Campanella, there's the Duomo, there's the church, the front facade of the church, San Jose. It's an amazing church. It's a live choir. church here, the mission where the Spanish missions actually traveled through this part of the region where they, the Camino, the southern state of Texas here is the mission. They walk right through the river, moving through from location to location, finding a very spiritual and peaceful location to build these amazing church, the infrastructure for them to reflect on their life along the journey. This is the mission of Sant Antonio, spread around the southern state of Texas. Front facade, teaching with the stone. It's got all those components across the heart, the shell, the pomegranate, Anglican cerulean, and Rose Road to Saint Jose, Saint Joseph, Saint Dominic, Saint Francis, Our Lord the Guadalupe, Saint Joseph, and Santa Ana. And that's the front facade elevation of the church of the San Franciscan Mission here in southern state of Texas. As you can see that church there, it's absolutely beautiful. These would have been the monasteries. That's the monastery grounds. As you can see, all the quadrangular where the church kutis, where they're reflecting, where the monks would rest in these little parts of the buildings. It's quarters where they would have their own produce of self-sufficient food production across these land, and they would store in these rooms and cook in these areas of room. And it's all attached to the main quadrangular which is out there, and the food production will be all from the land, right around the missions, monasteries around this land, part of this area. As you would know, that the landowners of traditional American Indians would have been used by the Spanish to actually change their beliefs and to make them follow Christianity. And the Franciscan monks were pretty clever in translating their mission and spreading their mission statement across pretty much the Latin American states. And what they did was use the indigenous populations of this world and converted their ideas to believing in Christianity. And that's one of the mission's very scope, that incurve right from North America right the way down to the tip of Argentina. The mission has accomplished a very traditional and wealthy amount of assets by doing these missions across the entire Latin American states. Hence, the spread of Christianity, as you would see, being adopted very much right from the very North Arctic to the very southern tip of Argentina. Yes, it's very much what we have done around the world, introducing our ideas, our beliefs, and our way of life to other traditions and other populations of this world, hence making them follow in one direction and create this greatness and defeat, and greatness and nothing, and greatness and selfishness was created through this very powerful elite and educated missionaries who travel the world, and it's still been done. There's still more to be done in places like Africa, where the population in that continent is very much distanced from their level of understanding of life and their education. Hence, we still see some of the missions from very much America, traveling down to Africa and to Central South America, Latin America. There are pockets of places where you would still find, where you could still influence the traditions and the way of life in parts of the world. Met a lovely people just here, and there have been what an enlightening conversation I've had there. Americans from here in Texas, and we talk about life and the presence of life on this earth, and it is a great place to be having a conversation in this monastery grounds. Wow, it's a beautiful church, yet one must remember how these buildings were built. There's two ways you can actually think of. One was to improve the life of the Native American Indians, and also you could argue, was it real? Was it true that they came to improve the lives of the Native Americans, or they used them to build these amazing palaces, monasteries and mansions, and introduce their way of life, the way of religion, religious beliefs and religious traditions were imposed on them and converted them into believing what was somebody else's idea, somebody else's religious idea. And we are still doing this. We still are greedy and converting one another and each other against the beliefs of their way of life and the traditional way of life and the traditional beliefs of their lives. So once again, these structures are beautiful, amazing and powerful. Yet again, there's so much to think about these structures and how they have risen through pain, suffering, love, care, thought. So much that you could ever think of that has gone into raising these structures, and amazing church that has stood here for 300 odd years.